Have you ever wanted to make your own homemade grain-free dog food? Well, I'm going to show you how I do it right now. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Jody Cordell, the Savvy Agent from Spence Properties here in Crestview, Florida. And I have had lots of people ask me how I make my homemade grain-free dog food. And I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to show everybody exactly how I do it. There was a point in time where I was feeding my dogs wet canned food, and my youngest one, my little baby girl, she would turn her nose up, and I thought we were buying some really good stuff. It was Blue Buffalo, but she was not having it. She would turn her nose up and say, "No, thank you. That's not for me." But once I started making it myself, she completely turned around and waited anxiously. In fact, it's so funny. Now she whimpers when she knows it's coming. It completely changed everything with my dogs, and hopefully it'll help you with your dogs too. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip my camera around and show you, first of all, what all kinds of ingredients I use. So I have started, since I bought one of these, or I got one of these for Christmas, I guess, last year, using my Instant Pot to make my homemade dog food. So the first thing I put in is half a dozen eggs. Now I have two small dogs. They're small. Look, there's one right over there, just chilling. He knows I'm making dog food, so he's excited. So I start with 6 eggs, and this is going to basically line the bottom of my Instant Pot. And then I use a meat source. So I actually have some steak that was left over. It stayed in the fridge for longer than what most people would want to eat it for. So I just wrapped it up and put it in the freezer to save for the dogs. Now, if I did not have a stored meat source that I had already set aside, I would probably use something like this or ground beef. This is just a chub of ground turkey. And you can pick these up pretty inexpensively in the frozen food section, because this is a frozen chub. And I'm not going to use that today because I do have the steak, but I also use beef liver, and you can buy these in the frozen section too. They're frozen, and they're individually wrapped, and that's good because they're very slimy and difficult to maneuver with. But I usually put 2 of these into a batch. And I like to use a filler that's healthy for the dogs. I don't use, obviously, rice or anything, but I do use sometimes a sweet potato, which is, this is a yam right here. And if I don't have yams or sweet potatoes, I will use carrots. And the last thing that you see over here is some green peas. I only have a little bit of these left, but that's plenty for this batch of dog food. And I'll show you how I use those in a little bit. Okay, so here we go. We're all ready to go. First thing, I've got my Instant Pot here, and I'm not going to turn it on just yet. So I'm going to take the top off of it and set it to the side back here. And I want to start with eggs, and I'm going to do 6 eggs. So just get 6 eggs, and the whole thing, they're raw. They still have the shells on. We're going to leave them on. I'm going to just lightly place them in the bottom of my Instant Pot. So, done with the eggs. We got 6, nope, we got 5. I need one more. There we go. 6 eggs in the Instant Pot. And the next thing I'm going to do is take my steak in. It is still frozen, and it's not going to matter. It's going to be totally fine. So I'm going to go ahead and take this steak out. I have all this steak in here. It's one big steak and then some pieces frozen too. It's all good. I'm just going to go ahead and put it in there just like it is. So we got that in there. Okay, and like I was saying before, I'm actually not going to use this because I have the steak in there, so I'm going to save that for another time for making food for the doggies. So I'm going to get into this. I want to thank my friend Will Pearson because he totally inspired me to do this stuff, because he's been doing it because he was on quarantine at home for 2 weeks, and he's been fighting the boredom for cooking. And I thought, you know what? That's what I do. So I'll do that too. I will share the things that I do in the kitchen. All right, so here I am. I got 2 of these things out of here. Now these things make a huge mess, and I don't want to get it on my cutting board because of cross-contamination, so I'm just going to do it here. Let me see here. There's a little flat end, so I pull this apart. gently take these things out of there and put them in with the eggs and the steak. I'll lay them right on top, it don't even matter. So we got all the meat and protein stuff is in there right now. So now we're gonna move on to the filler, which is my yam. Now I have already washed it. I just scrubbed the outside. I'm not gonna peel it. I'm not even gonna worry about it because dogs are less picky about things than people are. And that's what partly makes them so awesome. So I'm just gonna cut this thing up. Be careful when you're handling your knife. Make sure you got a good grip on it. You know, I used to do makeup tutorials. All right, so now that I've got all of my basic ingredients in here, I'm gonna go grab my water pitcher. And I'm just gonna add some water to the bottom of this, probably about a cup's worth. And I need the top. Now, I put this on pressure, so make sure it's not on venting and we're not releasing the steam. And I'm gonna come over here and do pressure cook. And normal I'm just gonna do 20 minutes on the pressure cooker. And we will come back as soon as that's done. Okay, welcome back. I have turned off the Instant Pot actually. It got to the 20-minute mark and then I released. So I had the quick release and then it's just sat for just a little bit to kind of cool down just a little bit. So now I'm ready to take this top off of my Instant Pot. And now I have all of this goodies, all this yummy stuff in here. Ooh, that's still pretty hot, hold on. All right, I'm gonna put that down. They're watching me. All right, pull this out and I'm actually done with this part right now. All right, and now I have this pot full of delicious goodies for the doggies. Look at that. So, but it's obviously in big giant chunks. So now what I usually do is grind it all up for them. So it makes it more like dog food consistency. So I'm gonna take this big scoop and I'm gonna start scooping it into my high power blender. I have a Blend Tech and I absolutely love this thing and I do a lot of things with it. And one of the things I do with it all the time is make dog food. So let's get started. All right, so let's go ahead and start. And I use this big scoop and I just scoop some of the water and juice from the bottom. And I've got the eggshells and the whole egg. I'm putting them all in there. Everything that I put in this pot is going into this thing. Not all at one time, I have to do it in batches. So I try to get a little bit of all the different parts. Egg, sweet potato, and some of the water. And we're just going to, don't fill it up too much, it won't do very well if you do. So that's probably enough right there. Do this. Look at that consistency. Doesn't that look delicious? I'm actually just gonna pour that back in there and slosh. I make a big mess whenever I do this, so you know, it's not anything unusual. Keep doing it until you get it all done. Looks like we got all this ground up the way we want. Put that in there. I want to try to get as much out as I can. And one thing I will mention, if you do get some bigger chunks that just don't get ground up in there, that's totally fine because it's kind of like a little treat for your dog. See that little chunk of, I think that's liver, and they love that. So little chunks, it's like little surprises for your doggies while they're eating. And when they come across a nice little chunk of meat like that, it's kind of a nice little surprise. So it's like the prize in the bottom of your Cracker Jack box. It's like, woo, yay! So, you know, don't worry about that. It doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, there's no such thing, right? So we're doing everything we can here to make this as awesome as we can in little chunks. Just make it more interesting for the doggies. So that's gross. We're gonna set this aside for a second. I'm gonna put some water in that in a minute, but I'm gonna give it one last stir to get it all blended together, and then I'm gonna show you what it looks like. Now, check it out. Isn't that amazing? So cool, right? Okay, and I saved the best part for last. And I say the best part because my dog, one of my dogs, my dog Toby, he's the fluffy white one, his favorite thing is the peas. And the funny thing about it is whenever I put down the food for him, he will eat all around the peas and save the peas for last. And it's the funniest thing I've ever seen a dog do. He eats around and all you see left in the bowl is a bowl full of peas, and he goes to town one at a time. He savors them. It's the funniest thing. That's why I don't actually ground them up whenever I do this. I save them for the very end, and I don't put them in until I'm done with all the grinding, because I want them to be whole so that he can have them that way. And I think it just gives more fun and texture. So then when you're done, see, you got little peas, whole peas floating around in there. So, oh, and I forgot something very, very important, and Will would be very upset with me if I forgot to mention this. Always have your cocktail with you whenever you're doing projects in the kitchen. It's actually mandatory, so make sure you have your beverage, your cocktail beverage. So, all right, and I have all my bowls here. And these are just your basic Gladware Rubbermaids. And I put them all together into these containers, and I freeze all of them except for one. And because my dogs are smaller, they're like, one's under 20 pounds, one's under 40. So I don't have to put a whole lot in here. I usually put about 3 scoops from a ladle like this. And that one bowl, oh, that's a big chunk right there. This one bowl will feed 2 doggies for 2 days. One is not quite full, but that's okay because that's going to be the one that goes into the refrigerator instead of the freezer. I've got 2, 4, 6 days worth right here that I'm going to put in the freezer to save for these awesome doggies. They get super excited about it. So, but that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching me make dog food for my doggies today. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to drop some questions down in the comments below this video. And if you did like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you enjoyed this type of content, please hit subscribe and hit the little bell. I do put out videos every week, every Wednesday. I am cranking out more videos right now just because we're all home, we're all quarantined, and there's not that many ways that we can keep connected as humans. And so I want to do everything I can to help you guys stay connected to me, and I want to stay as connected to you as I possibly can. So again, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you on the very next video.